Thanks for tuning into 210, a local media podcast. This is Mario Zamron. I'm your host. This is episode number 36, and I bring you Alamo City ComicCon 2014. We're now at the end of January as I'm recording this, so it's been a few months. I believe that was towards the end of October that we had the ComicCon, and it was amazing. Just for those who did not get to go, you need to try to make it out there in 2015. They're really stepping it up at Alamo City Comic-Con. Apple, the guy behind it all, has already also launched an Alamo City Film Festival that we'll be hearing more about moving forward. And lots of things are coming, really. I believe I read somewhere that Alamo City Comic-Con was the third largest con in the U.S. for 2014. For being in their second year, guys, that's pretty darn awesome. So congratulations to them. Big shout out to the folks at Alamo City Comic-Con and everybody that is able to make that possible. Apple and his team, as well as all the celebrities and artists that were able to make it out there. And of course to all of you that were able to make it out there. I mean, if you guys don't buy tickets, they don't sell tickets. So, you know, it's a cycle. It's a good cycle. So as long as we keep buying tickets and more of us keep buying tickets, then it'll get bigger and bigger. I'm really excited to see what they've got in store for 2015, and who knows what the future holds. But this episode is primarily, we got a couple of interviews with Casas Inc., and we've also got an interview with Beanpot Toys. Those are on my YouTube channel. I'll post that link in the show notes as well at on the website. And so if you're looking at this on iTunes, if you tap on the icon, then it'll flip over and it'll give you the show notes, and you can scroll through there, and the link will be there as well. I'm working on getting it set up on my own, but I've got like 3 YouTube channels, 3 YouTube profiles, that is. So I'm trying to get everything in one spot. So it might take a little while. Hopefully it'll be done by the time this episode comes out. Aside from the 2 interviews, I've also got a couple of panels. I believe I've got George Takei, however he pronounces it. I've heard both, talking about mostly his trip to San Antonio, as well as some of his documentary film that's coming out, or that has already shown. Actually, I believe it's already shown, about his time in internment camps and just the turmoil that Japanese Americans went through following the events of Pearl Harbor. We've also got a recording from Stan Lee, the wonderful, amazing, great Stan Lee. The more and more I hear this guy talk, I mean, it's just funny. He's an older guy. For those of you who aren't too familiar with him, he's the man behind Marvel right now. I don't think he's president or anything. I think he's more of a figurehead, but I'm sure he's still connected in some ways, at the very least financially. So he's banking. But every time I hear him talk, it's funny, but he's very cordial. He plays a character, really. I mean, he's always saying his favorite fan is, or his number one fan is himself. But you just got to hear him. Great speaker, really funny guy. And then I believe I've also got some weird science in there, I'm hoping. If not, I'll cut this portion. And really hope you guys enjoy episode number 36, Alamo City Comic-Con 2014. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Take care. So I pretty much start off every single interview with, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Greg Hernandez, and we own Beanpot Toys.
Awesome.
We're a small family-based company. My wife's in there, and this is my daughter, and we do it for the love of toys and love of art.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing it in general?
We have been doing Beanpot Toys for roughly 7 to 8 years.
Yeah?
7 to 8 years, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what got you into it? Have you always been kind of
Well, I have been
always
collecting eclectic, different kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then when my daughter was in high school, we were always there at school doing this, doing that.
Yeah.
And when she got out, we had accumulated so much stuff. We started selling it off. People got a good response from it. So then we, turned my contacts into business contacts and went from there,
That's great.
And we get to go out, travel a little bit, get to meet people, and, I get a little bit of toys, and then I spread a little bit of toys out, and it's good. It's good. We've been doing it, like I said, for about 7 to 8 years. and we're different. We stick out. We still stick out, which is great. You know?
I don't see very many of what you have anywhere else.
Other people have maybe one or two.
Right.
I've got
a good mixture.
500 different pieces, so.
Yeah, and then Kayla was letting me know earlier that you guys have another booth set up as well.
Yeah, we're starting to get into the more customizing aspect,
right.
And that's called being creative. Something that we thought about at a show one day, and so I was like, that's a great idea. So we work with local artists or even out of towners. We work with Brian Collins. He goes by the Color Chemist.
Okay.
Denise Vasquez, she's in California. Jason Chalker in Dallas. Joe Skills, a number of artists. And right now I've got a local guy here from San Antonio, Edgar Gomez, and goes by Hugh Dawes. He does customs. Nice guy. So, I mean, for us, we love to collect. We love cool toys. And then, it helps them. It helps us.
To get in too.
It helps them. It helps us. Again, it's about the love of the toy, and we're not big mainstream. We're off the beaten path, so that's what we like. That's what we like, and we tend to have a good response for it. So
that's good. That's good. Yeah, I think you guys have a great niche.
Yeah.
So, and Kayla, I know I've seen you at a few at MonsterCon. We were saying earlier. So the whole family goes.
The whole family. It's a family. It's a family thing.
Yeah.
We'd love to do a storefront, but if we did that, I'd like to have like a little gallery. I'd like to live there, overhead stuff. I'm cheap. I'm frugal, so I'd love to have a gallery slamming Saturdays.
Right.
It'd have to be an all-in-one store for us. But right now, we're show to show, and maybe a little bit of online. Hey, I was at your show. I saw this.
Right.
With no e-commerce at this point, but I'm just a simple caveman.
Well, that's all right. I think a storefront would be something cool, something that San Antonio could. Would you stay in San Antonio? If you had a storefront?
Most definitely, definitely. This is where I grew up. This is where I was raised. In fact, we're trying to put together. I know Art Slam. My friend Rob was, he left the country, kind of shut that show down. But I'm talking to a couple of people that maybe we do our own art vinyl show, not necessarily an Art Slam, but a customizing show would be great,
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I know the new space, well, not new space, I guess the rebranding of the White Rabbit might lend itself to something like that too. Because I know they were starting to do a little bit
not.
of,
I'm not. There's a lots of things to get together. But venues is the last thing really, but maybe that area or Southtown, the arts district. But there's there again, I got to find good people to work with. I can get the toys. All that other stuff is something different that I'd have to trust other people with,
right.
So, but
right.
I'm just a toy nerd,
Well, who isn't, right?
There you go.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you officially.
It. And like us on Facebook, Beanpot Toys.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And
right.
Do you have a website yet, or is it all just Facebook?
BeanpotToys.com.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And then I follow you guys on Instagram as well.
Oh, yeah, well,
so
that's her. Like I said, I'm just a caveman. Yeah.
Well, let's talk to your social media
there you go.
expert here, Kayla.
Hello. 210 Local Music Podcast.
Yeah.
Woo.
So, did you kind of get your dad to go into the social media aspect? Was that...
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge way to get your brand out to the masses, right? And people are all about trending topics on Twitter and Instagram. So we really built up our brand and our company within San Antonio and within Texas using social media tools like Facebook
right.
and even Tumblr. We had a blog post going for a while.
Oh, wow, okay.
And so that's how we do interviews with artists sometimes, you know. We're featuring 2 artists for Alamo City ComicCon this weekend.
Oh, nice.
Nice. So actually, I found one of the artists on Instagram, and we kind of communicated back and forth, and then my dad brought him in as one of our featured artists to sell his toys here.
That's cool. That's
so,
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we'll probably head over to that booth a little bit
Definitely.
later, too. But so whose idea was the name?
Oh, my gosh. Beanpot Toys. Yeah.
The name came from... The name came from, like I said, when Kayla was in school, we were always busy, always doing this, doing that. Cliche, too many beans in a pot. And then there's a little face, if you'll notice, there's a little face on the Canada Ranch style beans. And that reminded me of my dad when he was younger.
Oh, yeah.
And so when he passed away, I put that on my back. I got a tattoo of it on my back.
Oh, nice.
And then just, Beanpot Toys. And I love beans.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and ranch style beans, everyone kind of recognizes that in the South. So this mascot actually was created by one of our loyal customers who randomly showed up at a show and was like, look, we created this huge mascot for you.
Wow.
And
That's
it was
awesome.
completely,
totally blew us away.
Totally surprised.
Awesome.
And
That means you guys are doing something right. If you've got
I guess
people
so.
that are that dedicated.
We try to be fan based. You know what I mean? Something you learn in second grade. Treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah, we're all about just having a good time and getting people into this new type of art that might not be familiar to everybody.
Right. It's starting to. I think it's starting to.
Yeah,
grow a
it's
lot.
an underground movement, but it's becoming more popular in the mainstream, So,
So after going to all the cons, how does San Antonio rank against all the other cons that you guys have been to?
Surprisingly, it's getting a huge response from San Antonio. I mean, there's the Dallas ComicCon and Comicpalooza in Houston, and of course, everyone knows about San Diego ComicCon, but for the second year at Alamo City, this is a great turnout as far as people coming through, and then the stars, the caliber celebrities they got to come to the show.
Definitely.
So it's only getting bigger and better and more exciting every year.
Cool. We'll hope the best for you guys moving forward with that as well.
Thank you very much.
And we'll definitely keep up with you. Yeah, of course.
Stay classy.
Thank you.
Thanks,
very much,
Mario.
Thank you again. All right.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're at the Alamo City Comic Convention. This is 2014. And I start off every interview with pretty much, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Aaron Casas, and I am the owner of Casas Inc., surreal and tattoo-inspired apparel company.
Very cool, very cool. We got some designs right behind us.
Yes,
some of these
sir.
are newer ones because I know I hadn't seen them.
Yes, sir. Those
so
two
recently.
are our newest ones. That is the Devil's Mistress, and this one right here is our the Devil Hound.
Nice.
They're all limited edition. We only print 150 of each. Once I'm out, I move on to new designs.
Nice, which is why I see plenty of designs. That's awesome.
Oh yeah,
man.
for sure.
So I gotta ask, where do these ideas from the designs come from? Because I follow you guys on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Where does this? Is it all just in there?
It's brewing in my brain. I'm really a surrealist. That's really where I started. I recently started a tattoo apprenticeship, so a lot of the tattoo themed stuff is just geared from the tattoo community. So that's why you're seeing a lot of the tattoo themed stuff. So
yeah, that's cool, man. It's really awesome.
They all start from sketches though, but once I do the sketch and I'm happy with it, they go to I scan them, finish off in the computer.
Nice. Yeah. And you're a local San Antonio artist.
Yes, born and raised.
Born and raised.
Born
nice.
and raised,
All right.
yeah.
Okay. Cool. And how long have you been doing Casas Inc.?
Casas Inc. has been around for a year now.
Nice.
September will be a year.
Nice.
So we're still fairly new, but we're getting out there. People
well,
are
hey,
recognizing
for you to have
us.
a booth at the Comic-Con, I mean, that's pretty good for somebody new.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So,
we're excited to be here. We try to do as many events we can as possible in San Antonio, Austin, and whatnot. We haven't ventured into Dallas yet, but maybe one day. It's a little bit further than Austin, so
yeah. Well, hey, who knows? Next after that, San Diego Comic-Con, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Sky's the limit. Well, that's awesome. And let's talk about a couple of your designs here.
For sure.
Let's talk about the Devil's Mistress first of all.
Devil's Mistress. Since Halloween's right around the corner, that's what kind of inspired these two designs. Devil Hound, Devil's Mistress. It's kind of the devil's right hand. So, but with all of the Halloween in spirit, that's why I kind of went with the scary theme and whatnot. So
nice.
That's kind of inspired that.
And then one of my favorites, the squid.
The squid, of course. This guy is our mascot. My last name is Casas. Name of the company is Casas Inc. Of course, Casas means houses in Spanish.
Right.
Squid squirt out ink.
There you
equals
go.
House squid, but we call them the sea monsters. So
That's nice. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Aaron.
Thank you, man. I appreciate
Where can we
it.
find you online?
www.casasinc.com, or you can find me on Facebook, Facebook.com/Casas Inc., or Instagram and Twitter is Casas_Inc.
Nice.
Right.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Appreciate it. It's a pleasure.
Take care.
Let me tell you about the plane trip coming here. We left Los Angeles in beautiful golden sunshine. We started flying, and I was reading a newspaper, and I looked at the weather report, and it said thunderstorms in San Antonio. And I told Brad sitting next to me, we can expect thunderstorms on our landing. And he said, I have a touch of cold, and when you're flying, it's not a good idea to combine a cold with that. But they tell me that the best antidote is to keep sipping hot tea. It's good for jet lag, and it's good for washing out the cold germs. And so I kept sipping throughout the flight. And I thought, well, it's only a 2.5-hour flight. You know, we were in the front row, and this plane, a small plane, has the restroom at the very tail end of the plane. And I didn't want to go, winding down the corridor to go to the bathroom. So I said, I'll hold it until we land. I kept sipping. I have a cold. I don't like jet lag. I kept sipping. And, oh, that's better? We're wireless now. Do you hear me better? No? Shall I get back on the wire? Am I fine here? Oh, good. So I kept sipping. And then we were getting ready to land. And I thought, well, yes, I'm getting quite well hydrated. Thank God we're landing. I'll go when we land. And I looked out, and sure enough, all clouds. And then the captain announced that there is a thunderstorm going on in San Antonio. I gave Brad my elbow there, and he said, yeah, you're right. And then he said, because of the thunderstorm, we're not going to be able to land there in San Antonio. And so we're going to land in Austin instead. But we only have about 10 minutes worth of fuel left. So we're going to go there real quick. However, he said, because of the fact that we're not going to be landing in San Antonio, we're going to keep the seatbelts off. So those who need to go to the restroom, you can go now before we land in Austin. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to last until Austin. I better go. And I got up and started going down that long, long, narrow corridor. And then it started to get bumpy. And I thought, I really got to hold it this time. And I wended my way down, and a few people sitting there recognized me, and they smiled and nodded, and I said, I got to the restroom, and it says, ocupado. Yo hablo español. No entiendo. I stood there, it wasn't because of the urgency, it was because of the bumpy plane, but I was there like this, waiting for the ocupado to disappear. And the lady who was seated there said, that woman's been in there for 5 minutes. And I thought, well, if that's so, I'd better not keep standing here. I think I can hold it. And I went wending all the way back. And then the captain announced, we are in luck. We found an opening. We're going to land in San Antonio. However, we're going to have to circle a little bit. We have 9 minutes of fuel left. And so those of you that would need to go, so I thought, well, I asked the flight attendant, can something up front tell me whether the restroom is occupied or not? And she said, oh, it's open now. And so I went wending my way down the aisle again and got there. And thank God, I got in the restroom, closed the door, and I was getting relief. When all of a sudden, I felt like I was riding on a rodeo bronc. Have you seen a Pollock painting? buckle up because we're landing. So I was about 3/4 through. So I quit, and I hurried back to my seat and buckled in. And I told the flight attendant, "Will you relay my message to the cleaner when we land? I apologize." I can't tell you how grateful I am to be here in San Antonio. I love my tea. So it really is good to be here on a Sunday morning with you. The early birds at 12:10. Thank you for joining me. I see a sea of empty seats over there, and we actors don't like that. But I can tell you that I am headed for a theater where we're not going to have any empty seats. Yes, Allegiance, you know about that. We still don't know which theater yet. Well, we were a great big hit in San Diego when we opened. This is a musical we developed over a 3-year period. As a matter of fact, we recorded the process of the development of the musical Allegiance. It's based on my childhood imprisonment in U.S. internment camps. It's one of the shameful chapters of American history when innocent American citizens who happened to be of Japanese ancestry were summarily rounded up and put in barbed wire prison camps simply because we happen to look like the people that bombed Pearl Harbor. 120,000 Japanese Americans. It's an important story of American history where our Constitution was egregiously violated. But so many Americans don't know about this, and so we developed this musical. We opened in San Diego at the distinguished Old Globe Theater, and because my social media campaign had developed an audience for Allegiance, we were from the very beginning sold out. In fact, the entire run turned out to be a sold out run. Thank you very much. And how many of you have seen Allegiance yet? No one in Texas. Because it was in San Diego. Who? You have seen it. Well, bless your heart. Spread the word to all these Texans here. Or there are non-Texans here as well. How many are non-Texans? Well, welcome to Texas. And San Antonio, where one can be with comfort. Well, it opened in San Diego to a sold-out run, and the Old Globe Theater did something that they hardly ever do because they are a repertory house. They extended our run another week, and because of that, we wound up breaking their 77-year record for both box office and attendance. And we topped it off by winning the Best Musical of the Year award from the San Diego Critics Circle. And so now, I thought transferring to Broadway was going to be a piece of cake. Not so. Every theater on Broadway has been booked up. And, time remaining. 32 minutes. Oh, good. Has been booked up. So we had to get in line with other productions, waiting for a theater to open up. We've been waiting for 1.5 years, and I think we are going to be able to get into a theater before the winter is out. And so we'll be opening it. It is a very frustrating thing to wait for a theater to be open for us. And in our frustration, our producer came up with a great idea. As a matter of fact, our producer is a graduate of the University of Texas in Austin. Texas. He came up with a great idea. We don't have a theater yet, so we can't start selling tickets. However, what he's come up with is the idea of a priority access pass, which means that before the tickets go on sale to the public, those people who buy this priority access pass have free access to a pair of seats for any performance, anytime, matinee or evening, any day. You have first dibs on the seats that you want. You pay $5 for this access. And in addition to that, you get a free download of the cast album. And the music is glorious. And some are hilarious. And we've already sold about 13,000 of those priority access passes. That means 26,000 seats already sold. And so the mass of you Texans here and the people who came from other places, you have access to seats before anybody else gets to buy seats. So go to allegiancemusical.com and get your priority access and start saving for your trip to New York City and spring vacation in New York, topped off with Allegiance. So that's the commercial part. Now, let's open it up to a conversation with all of you. Any thoughts you may have, any complaints you may have, any questions you may have. Have they set up a mic someplace? Oh, there it is. There's a mic. And is there another one on this side? There are three. Great. Well, let's start from... are you standing at a mic? Okay, let's start with you.
Well, George, I just wanted to say that you're an awesome ambassador for the gay community, the Japanese community, and all of us Howard Stern fans who absolutely I was a Division I wrestler in college, and it's Sunday. I'm just saying, oh my. And, also, if you could tell...
Oh, yes.
And also, if you could tell us, any of your Bill stories, Georgie and all that stuff. It's just so funny to the Stern fans. We love you. So any Bill story you want to share, I'm sure everybody would love it.
Well, those of you who want to visually experience our dear Uncle Bill, we have a documentary out now called To Be Takei.
It was awesome.
Oh, you've seen it already. And the unique thing about this documentary is all of the surviving cast from the original Star Trek is there with us. One of the great gifts from Star Trek has been the fact that my work colleagues have become very good personal friends. Nichelle and Walter were here yesterday. Walter happened to be the best man at our wedding when I got married to Brad. We just celebrated our 6th anniversary. We're legal, but we'd been living in sin. 27 years together. But our work colleagues have become our personal friends as well. Walter was our best man. And we asked Nichelle to be our matron of honor. And Nichelle said, I am not a matron. If Walter can be the best man, why can't I be the best lady? We said, "You're absolutely right." And she was our best lady. And we sent, because we have our Star Trek friends on our wedding party, we sent invitations to every cast member on Star. We wanted to be inclusive. And the only one that did not RSVP was, you know who. But we thought that's typical of Bill. He never RSVP'd for anything that we do. Parties or celebration of somebody getting a star on the Walk of Fame. So we said, that's all right, Bill's not coming. Well, and we got married. We had a wonderful wedding ceremony and party at the Japanese American National Museum, which we founded. And we were 2 months married when there on YouTube was Bill Shatner ranting and raving that he never got an invitation to our wedding. 2 months after. We were absolutely baffled. If he wanted to come, then he could have phoned us before the wedding. We never got a phone call. We were, just confused by that. But then Brad and I were driving down Sunset Boulevard, and there was a great big billboard there advertising William Shatner's new talk show, Raw Nerds. I said to Brad, that's why he made a big fuss about not getting an invitation to our wedding. You can put out a press release saying I've got a new talk show, but that's pretty perfunctory. That's de rigueur. If you have a controversy, then you get some attention. That's why he made that fuss. And we pointed out, when the press came to ask us about the not getting the invitation, we said we did 3 seasons on TV together. We did 6 movies together. We do conventions still today together. Bill knows me, but Bill feels that he can psychoanalyze me, and he did that on YouTube too, and complain about not getting an invitation, and still claim that he doesn't know me. Those of you that have seen the documentary, you know how he behaved on that. Everybody was there with wonderful comments, and all he says is, "I don't know George." Michelle had a wonderful reaction to that. So, what I feel about my Star Trek colleagues is we are a family, and we get together periodically like this. But whenever you have a family get-together, like most families, many families, you have that weird, eccentric uncle show up. And we have our Uncle Bill.
So last year, you were on a show called Fangasm. Well, you got on for an episode of it.
Show what?
Called Fangasm, where you came into a house, you met 7 members that were auditioning for a chance to meet, to work for Stanley. You met one guy named Andrew who came up to you and just kind of started rubbing your face. What was your reaction to that? How did you feel when that happened?
It was, in some ways, a familiar feeling. Because the first person who did something like that was, I was in the makeup table one morning when we were filming Star Trek V. What was that called? I've forgotten the title. I think maybe it's because it was being directed by a certain director. I was in the makeup chair, and Bill came up to me smiling. Very rare. Smiling. And I came up from behind, and I felt this hand on my cheek. And then he came forward, and he said, Georgie. No one calls me Georgie. My mother never called me Georgie. Georgie, we have this beautiful scene for you. I said, yeah, I studied my script. I know. It's all right. He says, well, this is what I want you to do. And he kept rubbing my face. It reminded me of that.
Again, thanks again for coming to San Antonio. We all appreciate it. This is not a question, but I just want to compliment, of all the stars and people I had connected to through Facebook, I think your Facebook page is the funniest, wittiest. Every day, 3 or 4 posts that are just drop dead hilarious.
Thank God you're alive. Don't do that too often. You might get pretty sick. Back over this way.
To piggyback on his question about social media, what prompted you to take such an active role in Facebook with both the humor and the activism that you dispense?
Well, as I said, we were developing this musical on the internment of Japanese Americans. It's surprising to me that there are so many people that still don't know about the internment. I mean, people that seem otherwise well-informed, educated people. When I tell them that I grew up behind barbed wire fences, U.S. barbed wire fences, they are aghast. You mean it was in the United States? And I said, well, I was imprisoned in one, a camp in the swamps of Arkansas, and another one on the northern border of California with Oregon. And they are absolutely astounded that something like that happened. And here we were, putting our passion, our energy, our talent, and our money into a project that very few Americans know anything about. And we wanted to be a commercial success. So I had a challenge. One, I had to raise the awareness of Americans on the internment. And number 2, once they're aware of that, are informed on the internment, to let them know that we developed a musical on it. And then, number 3, to develop them into potential enthusiastic, anxious ticket buyers. And I thought the best way to do that is social media. But my fan base at that time was a small base, made up essentially of sci-fi geeks and nerds. But I had to grow that. And so by trial and error, and I tried a lot of things, but I found that the memes that got the most likes and shares were either the cat memes or the funny memes. And the cat memes are also funny. So it's the funnies that got the most likes and shares. So I started doing a lot of that to grow the audience. And once the audience grew a little larger, then I started injecting some observations I have on social justice issues. And I talked about LGBT equality, and then I talked about campaign finance reform, and then I introduced the subject of the internment of Japanese Americans. And once the people were informed, then we started sharing a little bit of the musical, and then a little bit of the songs from the musical. So the reason I started social media to the extent that I did was essentially to build an audience for Allegiance. And it worked. We had a sold-out run in San Diego, and we already have 26,000 seats in a house that we don't know where it is in New York City, but definitely on Broadway. So it was Allegiance that got me involved on social media.
ask you a question today, but I'm sure we all want to know. You've done countless appearances on different movies and TV shows besides Star Trek. What was your favorite? Which one did you enjoy the most?
I gotta say, the one that I enjoyed the most was in 1974. It was a play I did in New York called Year of the Dragon. It has nothing to do with that Cimino movie, Year of the Dragon, at all. It was written by a Chinese-American playwright about a Chinese-American family in Chinatown, San Francisco. And it's about this son's conflict with his father and his frustration trying to get out of the ghetto of Chinatown. I was able for the first time to use my own experience as an Asian American into a role that I was creating. And after the New York run, we had that filmed for television in the PBS Theater in America series. So some of you may have seen it. It's rarely re-aired, but you might be able to find it somewhere now because there's such a plethora of programs that are accessible. The title of that, that's drama, not a musical. The title of that drama is called Year of the Dragon, written by Frank Chin.
First off, I'd like to say I'm sure you've heard it many times before, but it's an honor to be speaking to you and to ask you a question. It truly means a lot to each one of us individuals to be able to say thank you for your help in the LGBT community, for spreading a lot of Asian community awareness and a lot of those things, so just thank you. My question is, what's your perspective on LGBT themes in sci-fi, and how has it changed over time? How have you seen that kind of play out?
Well, the theme of LGBT was non-existent. Certainly when Star Trek came on back in '66. And as society changes, our culture starts reflecting that. Oh, we have what's called a high-tech hook. I'm told that my time is up. Right here. I'll just finish that. I lost the hook just got me. It just came on again. 13 minutes remaining. Are you sure? Technology, isn't that grand? This is so much more polite than, what they used to do in the old vaudeville days, when they literally had a hook, and when a comedian was on too long, it came out and yanked him off the stage. Oh, in Scotland. Oh, it's 12 minutes now. Where was I?
We're talking about LGBT and
LGBT themes in sci-fi.
Oh, in sci-fi. Well, society is changing. First of all, we got rid of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. LGBT can serve proudly in the military. There was a time when you can defend our country, fight heroically on a battlefield, but when they find out you're gay, you're fired in the most humiliating, degrading way. Every title taken from you, and you're left without a job that you enjoy doing. It was ridiculous, outrageous, and a blot on American society. So we got rid of that. And now we have marriage equality in 19 states. Brad and I were able to get married in California, which is our home. And so many people now are enjoying the security of marriage equality, particularly
for example, that Windsor case, where Edith Windsor lost her wife of they've been together almost 40 years. And they, over the 40 years, they built their estate together. And yet, when her wife died, she was treated like a total stranger and taxed $320,000 on what she inherited from her. If her wife had been a man, there would have been no tax. I mean, it was a gross, outrageous example of inequality. And so that changed. And so we have marriage equality in 19 states where people can be married and feel secure. But it's a patchwork throughout the country. When I pledge allegiance to the flag, I pledge allegiance to the United States of America, USA. And we are determined to make that pledge come true. And I predict that within 3 years, next year, the Supreme Court is going to hear all these cases again. And when that decision comes down, we will have equality throughout the states, United States of America, where we can get married and enjoy the security of that marriage, the bond of marriage, throughout the country. And so science fiction is starting to reflect this advance that has been made. And I'm proud of that. And do I really still have 9 minutes more? Because it keeps going off and coming back. Is technology still with us? Or has it gone crazy? Because technology can go crazy. You know, airplanes technology, and it can't land in a thunderstorm. And it makes me become a great artist. Well, it still says 9 minutes. What, you have a message for me? This is okay? Okay. You're all.
Good afternoon. Before I get to my question, I just want to let you know that I was educated in Oklahoma public schools, and I did learn about about Manzanar
in Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma, yes.
Fantastic. There was one closer to Oklahoma than Manzanar. Manzanar was in California. We were incarcerated in Arkansas, right near Oklahoma. Did you hear about Rower, Arkansas?
Yes.
Oh, you did? Good.
But
well,
my question,
I'm impressed by how progressive Oklahoma's education system is.
Having a large population of Native Americans, there's a sensitivity to being trod upon by the system. But my question for you is, everybody in the room is very familiar with your work with Star Trek, but what I want to hear you talk about a little bit was your role in the Green Berets with John Wayne.
That was, to me, a fantastic experience. To work with an American icon, a legend. It was after the first season of Star Trek, and we had a hiatus. And my agent called and said, George, I've got something to fill your hiatus time. And I said, oh, okay, I'm game. And he said, how would you like working with John Wayne? I almost dropped the phone. I'd grown up watching John Wayne, Lord Apache, all the great John Wayne movies. And he said, you're going to have an interview with him, John Wayne himself. I thought, good Lord, John Wayne, not a casting director. And it's going to be at Warner Brothers Studios, where I was interviewed for my very first feature film, Ice Palace, that starred Richard Burton and Robert Bryan. And so I drove out to Warner Brothers Studios, and I walked into this big office. Only John Wayne was there. And when I walked in, he squinted at me just like he did in Fort Apache, like he did at Fort Bond. I felt like Fort Bond. There he was squinting at me. This was the Green Berets, and I had a personal dilemma because I was active in the peace movement during the Vietnam War, and at the same time I
wanted to work with John Wayne. I wanted to do the Green Berets. And I felt that I needed to be candid with him. I said, Mr. Wayne, I got to be honest with you. I am on the opposite side of politics with you. I am active in the peace movement, and I know you are a strong supporter of the war. And he squinted at me again. I thought, well, this is it. Say thank you, but no thank you. But he said, you know, George, I like your honesty. And I'll tell you what, I believe in free speech. That's what democracy is all about. It's free speech that makes democracy what it should be. And that's what we're fighting for. And I appreciate your being honest with me, and I will be honest with you. I want to make this film the best movie I can make. And I want the best actors to play these roles. And I'm looking for that best actor. And honesty is something that comes through in a good actor's performance. But thank you very much. And you know, the meeting ended. And I thought, I phoned back my agent back, and I said, well, I was forthright with him. And I told him I'm with the peace movement. And my agent said, George, you know, I love you, but you're honest to a fault. You're not going to get that part then. But a week later, he called and said, guess what? Believe it or not, he liked you. Your cast. I was over the moon. And working with John Wayne, you know, he's exactly. I don't consider John Wayne an actor. He is a fascinating personality. You know, he's the same John Wayne that you see on screen, off screen. He's a decent, fair-minded, strong-opinioned guy who believes in free speech and what we're fighting for with the military. And he's played many military men. And I respect that. And I respect the fact that he is such an interesting personality. You know, that walk of his could be considered almost feminine, you know. And he's made that his iconic masculine walk, you know. He's an amazing guy. And he's an amazing film talent. We got 3 minutes.
I'll make it fast. You've overcome so much in your life. I mean, you talked about the internment camps, and obviously you were one of the first Asian Americans, probably the first Asian American on a popular television show. And then being gay in America at a time when it wasn't okay, and you know, supporting the peace movement and everything that you've done. What is the biggest hurdle for you that you feel that you've overcome?
Well, I do think it was the fact of the imprisonment, because they took everything from our family. My father used to say they took my business, they took our home, they took our freedom, but the one thing I'm not going to give them is my dignity. I will not grovel before this government. And that pride in himself that my father exemplified, I think I've inherited. And that pride, but you know, he was also an American, and he taught me. At that time, I was too young to really understand what was happening. But when I was a teenager, I was inspired by the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, and I was active in the civil rights movement. And I couldn't reconcile the idealism of America with what I knew to be my childhood imprisonment. And I couldn't find anything about it in our history books or in our civics books. So I had many long discussions with my father after dinner. And they became very heated at times. But the core message that I got from my father was that our democracy is a people's democracy. And it can be as great as the people can be, but it's also as fallible as people are. The people made a mistake then. Our democracy is very vulnerable. And he said our democracy is dependent
vitally dependent on good people who cherish the ideals of this system. All men are created equal, endowed with an inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And particularly, one man, one vote, which is still being challenged today. But after those discussions, he took me downtown to the Adlai Stevenson for President headquarters, and he introduced me to how democracy works. And there we were amongst passionate people who believed in Governor Stevenson, his ideals, and they were shining ideals. And I got involved with that, and I was really made aware of what it meant to be an American citizen in our American democracy. And I've been active in the political arena and in the social justice arena ever since that time. And now it's blank, it's not talking to me. And, oh, thank you, time's up. Thank you all. Live long and prosper.
Take the X-Men movie, the last one. I didn't have a cameo in that. You may think somebody forgot. No, it was planned. For this reason, somebody goes to see the X-Men, sits through the whole movie, and then says, gosh, I didn't see Stan's cameo. Maybe I blinked my eye, or maybe I reached down for some popcorn and wasn't looking. So what do? They run to the box office and buy another ticket. Because nobody wants to miss my cameo, so X-Men made twice as much money as they expected to make by leaving us. So you see, it may seem to you it's just a cameo, but it's shrewd business on the part of the movie maker.
Hey, Stanley, I'm here to speak for everyone here that we all love you.
Well, that's good to hear. Thank you. And I love all of you, except the DC fans, of course. No, I even love those.
So, we came from North Carolina to come see you, and my son Avery's in the audience back here is one of your biggest fans. Wave.
There he is. Hi there, Pete. But I have to tell you, I have to correct you, though. Don't be angry. But I happen to be my biggest fan.
So, you've done so much throughout your career. Are there things that you have on your list of things to do that aren't in production, aren't made yet, or aren't tangible enough? What are you ready to see done? What are you ready to see that's not in production that you haven't had a chance to do in your career?
Gee, I've had a chance to do about everything, I guess, except I haven't had a starring role in a movie.
Let's make it happen.
Here's something else that you can do. You people are very influential, because in numbers there is strength. What I want you to do is contact the Film Academy, the Hollywood, whoever gives out the Oscars, whoever they are. And I want you to tell them it is time they had an Oscar for the best cameo of the year. I wouldn't have any competition. They had to give it to me. So that's my next thing.
Hi. This is a huge pleasure to me, because I'm a reporter for Stevenson High School newspaper, and my first interviewer on TV. And a question for you. What was your main inspiration for a lot of your contemporaries?
You have to summarize that for me.
You want to hear?
You want to know my inspiration behind my favorite comic book character? Was that it?
Yes.
Well, my favorite character was Spider-Man. Thank you, Web Lovers. I can tell you a story about Spider-Man that maybe you have not heard before. I will tell you about the origin, how I came up with the idea for Spider-Man and what happened after that. So settle back, get comfortable. It's long, it's boring, but it'll tell some time. I had an order from my publisher. I worked for a publisher at the time. And he said, Stan, the Fantastic Four is selling pretty well, and whatever other book we had. He said, come up with a new superhero for me. I want to do another superhero. So I went home and I started thinking, now, when you come up with a superhero, really the first thing you have to figure is, why is he a superhero? What power does he have? So I was thinking, what power can I give a new superhero? We already had the Fantastic Four, and we had a girl who was invisible and had a force field. We had a guy who could burst into flame and fly, a guy whose body's drenched, and a guy who was the strongest man of all. What was left? So I'm thinking, and I see a fly on the wall. And I said, gee, what if I had a hero who could stick to walls like an insect? And I thought, that's not bad. Well, what do I call him? Fly Man? That didn't sound dramatic. Insect Man? Didn't sound heroic. I went down the list. Mosquito Man. And then I said, Spider-Man. Oh boy, that sounded scary. It sounded dramatic. Then I figured, I'll make him a teenager, because there hadn't been any teenage superheroes. That would make it really different. And then, just for fun, I figured I'll give him a lot of personal problems. He'll worry about money. He's not that popular with girls, all kind of things. That'll make him different. Well, I was so excited about that idea, I ran into my publisher, and I told him. And he said to me, that is the worst idea He said, Stan, you can't call a character Spider-Man because people hate spiders. You can't make him a teenager. A teenager can only be a sidekick. And you can't give him personal problems if he's a superhero. Don't you know what a superhero is? So naturally, I was not too encouraged. But I had the idea in my mind. I didn't want to let it go. And we were killing a magazine. We had a book called Amazing Fantasy, and we were going to kill it. The last issue was about to be published. Now, when you put out the last issue of a magazine, nobody cares what's in it. It's the last issue. The book is dying. So just for fun, I put Spider-Man in that issue and featured him on the cover. A month later, all the sales figures came into the office. And my publisher rushed over to me and he said, Stan, do you remember that character Spider-Man of yours that we both loved so much? I swear. He said, let's make a series of them. And that's how Spidey was born.
So a lot of people are always really, really excited to meet you, and you always meet all the celebrities and stuff. But who have you been excited to meet? Whether it be the president or an actor?
Who have I excited to? I met a few presidents, actually. I'll tell you a funny story. My whole life has some funny stories. For some reason that nobody will ever understand, Professor Bush wanted to give me something called the Medal of the Arts. Every year the president gives out a Medal of the Arts to a handful of people. And I was one of them. It was about 5-6 years ago, I don't know. So I flew down to Washington. Now, what was her name? What was the name of the girl who always co-starred with Errol Flynn in all those movies? Olivia de Havilland. I don't know if you remember Olivia de Havilland. But she also was getting a medal. And she got up to the stage with the president before I did. He put the thing around her neck, and he gave her a little kiss on the cheek. And then it was my turn. So I walked up, he put the thing around my neck, and I don't know what got into me, but I said to him, "You're not going to kiss me too, are you?" He burst out laughing, and I was laughing, and someone took that photo, and I have it in my office, a photo of the president and me laughing like hell, and it looks like we're bosom buddies. The funniest thing, then I met President Reagan. We were sitting at a dinner, and I was sitting across from him. He was right here, and I was here, and we're facing each other. Now, he was no longer president. He had given up the presidency about a year ago. So what do you say when you're facing an ex-president? I had to think of something to say to him. So I said, "Mr. Reagan, you must feel so relieved that you don't have all the worries of the world on your shoulders anymore. You can relax and be a civilian." And I will never forget, he looked at me with his eyes shining, and he was so intense, and he said, "No, Stan, I loved being president." I mean, I never heard anything like that. That really, so I have a photograph of us talking, and it's a very funny photo, because in the photo, I'm walking over to him, and he's sitting down, and he's looking up at me like that, and I'm looking down at him. So I like to put little funny word balloons over the photos. So over his head, I put a balloon. "Stan, do me a favor." And I'm saying, "Sure, what?" And he says, "Pose for a picture with me." I have that hanging on my wall, too. But so much about presidents, I don't want to sound like I'm name-dropping, which I am.
All right, guys, we have another question. We have a little one here. How cool was it to star in the Big Bang Theory?
The Big Bang Theory. Oh, I love being on that. I wished I had a bigger role. The people, the cast of the Big Bang Theories are great. And the best thing about it, after the show ended, we all gathered together. I'm always getting photographs for a photo, and the blonde girl kissed me on the cheek during the photo. After you finish, I'm glad you mentioned that. After you finish writing to the movie awards committee, whatever it is, I want you to write to the Big Bang Theory and say it's about time Stan was on there again. Okay? So if I don't get a call from them in a few weeks, I'll know you failed me. So what you say?
I just wanted to say, Stan, I'm a really big fan, and Spider-Man is my favorite superhero. And I was going to ask, what was your favorite Spider-Man comic book?
All of them. No, I'm not really good at favorites because I love everything I write. I like all the people I know. I don't even remember all the Spider-Man. I have a lousy memory. This is secret, don't tell anybody. But I can't remember all the Spider-Man books I wrote, and I can't remember the ones that other people wrote after me, because obviously when I stopped writing them, I stopped reading them. And I guess maybe if I had to name a favorite, it would be the first one, because that was the one where I put it all together, or tried to. So since I'm expected to give an answer when I'm up here, I'll say the first one, which is just off the top of my head. I have no idea how that's any better or different than it.
What's one of your favorite female superheroes you've ever created?
Oh, my favorite female superhero. Well, I was always fond of the She-Hulk. I think they're going to be bringing her back a little bit. I like the Black Widow. I always liked Sue Storm, the Invisible Girl, because she was easy to draw if she was But again, favorites, I'm not good with favorites because I'm very impartial. I love everything I've ever done. Sometimes I read those old stories and I say, wow, did I write that? I'm better than I thought.
Hey Stan, one of my favorite characters is Gambit.
Is who?
Gambit?
Gambit.
Yeah. And I hear he's going to be coming out in the movie soon, and Channing Tatum will be playing him. Do you know how accurate he gets?
I can't give away any secrets, but yeah, sooner or later you'll be seeing him. Yeah. That's all I can tell you. My lips are sealed.
Pretty accurate to the part?
Don't know. Sorry. I cried out, but they laughed at me. I auditioned for all the roles. They laugh at me every time.
Well, first off, I want to thank you not just for your innumerable contributions to the nerd universe, we all love you for that, but also for just exemplifying what it means to be a great human being. Thank you. And I've got a serious question and a fan question. Should I go with the fan question? Yeah? Alright. I heard a story that you were once in a little magazine called Playgirl a few decades back. I was just wondering how that happened, how you got approached for that.
I was in a magazine called Playgirl. I don't know anything about that. I gotta get a copy. No, I really don't know about Playgirl. I mean, I know about the book, but I didn't know I was in it. What was I doing in Playgirl? Now I'm worried.
I think we're writing a story about you. I don't think you were posing.
No, Playboy has done a few things about me. It's funny, years ago, I know Hugh Hefner, and he said to me once, we ought to do a Playboy interview with you. And I said, fine. And this was years ago. And then I got a phone call rather, from his editor who said, Stan, we gave up the idea of doing the interview with you because you're not that well known. Your character, Spider-Man, is well known. He's better known than you are. So we're going to do an article about Spider-Man. Well, what the hell? But last year they did an article about me in Playboy. It took all this time for them to come to their senses.
I grew up reading Golden Age comic books and Silver Age comic books, and the artwork and the tones were different compared to the artwork in our day comic books. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that, on the differences between the two, and what do you think?
Well, the artwork looks different now because they use computers for the most part to do the lettering and to do the coloring. And that gives, the computerized coloring gives the strips a totally different look. Also, there are different editors now who tell the artist to draw in different ways. And every time you have new editors, you have a new look to the artwork. I loved the old artwork, which was a little more cartoony. The artwork today I love also because it's like paintings, it's like real illustration. So I love them both, I mean, but I will admit today's comic books do have a different look than the ones when I was doing them. And whether you prefer one or the other, that's just a matter of individual taste. Hey, see, I can be serious.
I'm a bit serious also. I want to remind everybody that we have about 5 more minutes left, so we can see how many questions we can get.
I'm just getting started.
From the audience, but first, I'd like these guys to introduce themselves, and I want to hear what you guys are doing now. You guys excited to be in San Antonio?
It's all about the fans. How's everybody having a good weekend out here, or what? Apple and his family did a great job, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all. And hey, as the saying goes, no audience, no actors. So we're here for you guys, and we appreciate you all being here.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for coming.
Yeah. So just to get it started a little bit, it's been, I was just talking to Elin, 30 years since that movie came out. Wow. Right? And I'm like, that movie stands the test of time. It's an amazing movie. Obviously, Weird Science is awesome to see you guys together again. How did you get like that job? Were you just in the right place at the right time? Did you have aspirations to be an actor? Or how does that come together? Because, you know, I'm always interested to hear the backstory, how you landed such an important and awesome movie.
Yeah, I was in the right place at the right time.
Wyatt, fix the mic. Wyatt, please. Wyatt, drop him off, baby. Come on.
Yeah, I just consider myself very lucky. I was on the Universal lot for some reason when I auditioned first. And I just think I messed up every single audition, so I still don't know how I managed to do it. Auditioning for that movie was like making that movie. You're in the room with the funniest people in the world and you're trying to play it straight, and it's just very difficult.
You had a great experience. At that time, you had done that movie, The Good Life, right? Remember that one?
The Wildlife.
The Wildlife, sorry.
Yeah.
So Lon had made this other film. We were both kind of kids that were fortunate enough to be at Universal Studios making movies. And so John Hughes, we heard about Lon, and I'd already made a couple films with John. And yeah, the audition process was fun. You know, I just want to acknowledge John Hughes because without him, we wouldn't be sitting here. He was such a great artist. Such a cool guy. To me, I just felt like he was the big older brother that, you know, had the party paid for. You know, we were like, what are we supposed to do? And he was just like, this guy loved to laugh. Do you remember how he would sit behind the camera? And this is in the days before everybody had screens on their phones, and there was Video Village on the set, and he would literally sit, remember, by the camera, and he would just kind of egg us on. Yeah. He was such a great collaborator. He was never kind of uptight about changing the dialogue if you had some funny ideas. He would always like welcome that. And my personal feeling is that was a great part of his genius. He was such a great writer. He had such heart. All his characters sort of start somewhere in the John Hughes films. They always wind up a little better off at the end of this film. So I think he provided great humor and great hope for people and audiences. And I just want to acknowledge him because he was such a great guy to work for. And he put us here. So well, we'd love to open up any questions you guys have. Bill, anything you guys want to...
How many people put a bra on their head?
I signed a few bras this weekend. Don't be shy.
It was grandma's bra, I remember, and it was way too big for my head. And I was, because you thought, well, this is going to work. I'm just going to wear a bra on my head and everything's going to be good. Anybody want to...
Yeah, we have mics set up, so if anybody wants to step right up there. Questions?
For you guys.
Can you hear me? Yeah, you can hear me good. So I just want to know, I always loved the movie. What was it like working with Kelly LeBrock, and what was she wearing in the shower scene?
Good question. I just want to know.
It was hard? No, it was a difficult experience. And yet, but do you remember this day? She came on the set. I mean, everybody, all of us, all the guys, everybody, even the women on the set, we were just like look, remember those old Seabreeze commercials where the woman would walk by? It was like a breath of wind flew by her. She was an amazing person, but I remember she had such a great sense of humor. And so she kind of put everybody at ease. So the day we did that shower scene, they had to make a big deal about, hope there's no kids here, I'm sure. Well, there were pasties that they had to cut out and put on her breasts. And so he and I were really standing in the shower with those faces on. So she was wearing underwear and those pasties. Yeah. But she had such a great sense of humor. She put everybody at ease. It was almost like, you know, she never acted like she was one of the most beautiful women in the world. She just had a great sense of humor, I remember.
Yeah, I remember great. It's not the most fun to talk about, I guess, but what I remember most from that scene is that I didn't want her to see me looking down. You know what I mean? Like, all I was trying, I was like, yeah. And so, afterwards, I was like, maybe I should have snuck a look or something. But the whole time, I was just like, no.
How many people would have taken a look? Here. Sure would have.
BonerCon. Anyway, next question. Sorry if there's kids here. Mom and Dad will explain it. Not funny.
Hey guys, I'm Steven. Loved you in the Breakfast Club, Anthony. Have you guys thought about doing any other collaboration since that movie?
Well, I can say this. The last time I had the fortune to talk to John, it was in 1987, and he actually called me with John Candy on the phone. And they had become great friends. And it was something that he talked about at that time. And he really did want to do a sequel to the film. And now that I am middle-aged, it would have been very interesting to see the Breakfast Club, sort of in the middle years or whatever. But he did have a vision to do that, and unfortunately, he's not with us. He's up there. But we appreciate that. Thank you. All right, man.
My turn, dude. My turn.
Dude, where's Barry White in the house? There's a voice coming out of...
There you go.
Oh, there he is.
Trying to get on the
It's Marshall. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, brother? Heard a rumor that John Hughes approached you during making of the Breakfast Club with the script for the Weird Science and kind of promote you or try to give that to you while you were filming that. Is that true?
He did.
And while Weird Science, did he do the same thing? Did he happen to give you any new scripts or anything for the new project that never came to fruition or anything?
Good question. Yeah. He did. We were shooting the Breakfast Club. We shot all those films in Chicago because John was from the suburbs of Chicago. So one thing he taught me about writing, he said, you always have to write about what you know. And he certainly, stayed true to that. But we were shooting the Breakfast Club, and one day he came up to me, Marshall, and he said, I wrote 30 pages of this other story last night. It's going to be you and another guy I didn't know was a future friend here. And you're going to make a girl on the computer. And I'm like, this scrawny little 17-year-old kid, I'm like, really? That's awesome. We're doing another movie after this? Like, I'm late for high school. This is great. So he was totally cool about it. He really was that prolific. He was amazing. He had a room in his house. I was telling some of the fans here last night that they were visiting at our table. It was all records. It was like a record store. He had 12 inches in that day. And he would write in that room. And so, what's become a trend, if you watch shows like Grey's Anatomy or all these other shows today where they have music and it really kind of helps push the emotion of the episode and what have you. I think John really had a big hand in that because all those films we did as kids, he was always writing the scripts with soundtrack ideas and songs kind of woven into it all. So he was really brilliant about, he really had great taste in music. He would take us to go hear music. We would go to blues bars in Chicago and he would take us to record stores. I mean, he was really, definitely loved music. So anyway, thanks for that.
Hi, thank you all for being here, and Weird Science was a great movie. I loved watching it growing up, and you mentioned John being the big brother. Well, in Weird Science you had a big brother, and it was Chet. And so I wanted to know what it was like when the cameras weren't rolling, and what was Bill Paxton like? Was there a lot? Did he try to keep the character going, and did he just treat you on anyway, or what was it like, when the cameras were rolling?
No, I remember him being the sweetest guy ever. Like I couldn't imagine someone nicer than him, and he was very, he was great with advice about acting especially, and like trying to help us or help me to
walk around in your panties.
Yeah. Somehow, whenever he said, "Come, I want to teach you about acting, but wear those underpants." Yeah, he was the nicest guy ever.
I agree. I saw Bill a couple of years ago. I had dinner with him, and obviously he's doing great. He's had a great career. He's actually from Fort Worth, so a lot of the way he talks in that film, he's a real Texas guy, and we would always joke around. One time you were doing that scene with Bill in the kitchen, and I was just hanging out watching that day. And it's where Alon comes out after she's worked the magic on us, and he comes out wearing her underwear. And he came over to me, Bill, he's like, I'm trying to figure out what, he talks the way he does in real life too, but I'm trying to figure out what to call Alon in this scene. I go, try dickweed. He goes, all right, great. So that's how you do this. So that scene where he starts making breakfast, and he's in his underwear, he goes, try something else yourself, dickweed, or whatever he says. Anyway, so he was like Alon's saying, he was a really funny guy. He had a great sense of humor. But had a great spirit on set, too. A set's just like a family or an office. People either agree to get along and make it work or not, Yeah. And we had great experiences on these movies because of John and just the vibe that he created for everybody was really cool.
He wasn't doing the method.
Remember?
No, nothing too serious, right?
Mike, remember
Thank
when Bill Paxton came up to us once, remember? He said, I had this bit part on a B sci-fi movie. Remember that?
Oh, that's right.
And we were like, and he said, you guys want to come and see it with us? And we were like, all right. He was totally underplaying it.
Right.
And we went and sat down, and that was Terminator. He was one of the punks in the beginning of Terminator. Yeah. And we were all just floored, like, oh my God.
Yeah, no, he's done some great work. He
Yeah.
lives in California with his family. He's a great guy.
Now, he was turned into a turd, right? I mean, that was the whole...
He was turned into...
I've always wanted clarification on it. Right. If it was a monster or an actual turd.
I remember talking to John Hughes about it. I think it was kind of Jabba the Hutt inspired, so he was kind of Jabba the Turd, yeah. Big boy. Stuff oozing out of him. It's great. Hi, ladies.
Alrighty, Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous.
Oh, don't be.
I guess my question, well, first of all, I remember the first time I watched The Breakfast Club, and my parents were like obsessed with it, but I thought it was going to be lame because of the name. But then I saw it, and it's like one of my favorite movies. And Weird Science, I just watched it the other night. Like, I'm in love with that movie. But my question is, in the one scene where the girl's like, what are y'all doing? And you're like, why are you sitting here taking a shit? Did you slap him? Did you really slap him?
I can't remember. Did anyone?
I don't remember either.
It was a love tap.
He maybe slapped me too hard.
That's like my favorite scene.
That was funny. Thank
Yeah, I
you.
think I took a little bit of
It's so
it.
funny. I just said that to them backstage before we got on here. I'm like, you're dropping wolf bait. I think what they did is they added the slap sound, honey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's my favorite scene.
Yeah. But I love his reaction too. He's like, what? That's great.
All right, thank you guys so much.
You too, ma'am. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ron, and I just wanted you to know what a big impact you made for, we kind of grew up together, and you said everything, even though I know there were lines that were written, everything you said is what we were thinking, your expressions and everything. But my favorite is, I know we're here for Weird Science, but can you please say from 16 Candles, very hot, very hot. Tonight this is happening.
Very hot, baby. Very hot. You're happening.
If it's okay with my dad, you can over me.
That's another one. I have great memory. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm trying to go back to the 15-year-old handle puberty voice.
I still have that.
Laugh at yourself. I'm going to talk about that earlier.
Curious that Weird Science to me is one of those that just has so many memorable scenes. For you two, what would be your two favorite scenes that you guys did?
I'm thinking the shower scene or anything. Really, it was, no, I wish you guys could, some of you I'm sure have met her at these cons. She's really got a great sense of humor. For me, I love the stuff we did at the mall in Downey and Russell, dumping like slushers on our heads or whatever. That was fun.
Yeah.
Driving the car through the parking lot, that was me. I almost killed some people. I loved all the stuff we did. Oh, the blues bar scene was pretty fun too. You know what that came from? John and I would all, the thing about John, like I keep saying, he loved to laugh. This guy was like such a great director. He was like never uptight about our script or saying this way, or, he was just great. So I would come to set and I'd start imitating Richard Pryor records that I loved listening to. As a kid, I loved George Carlin and Richard Pryor. And a lot of people at my age or older will remember when Richard Pryor used to do this character called Mudbone. And Mudbone would do like you talk like this, grubbing him, like, get outside, get some sunshine on your face. He was like, fuck hilarious, right? So again, this little skinny gringo coming up to the director, I'm like, John, this is what I was listening to. And he would like coax me on to imitate Richard Pryor. And that's where that scene came from. So he set it up for a long night to be in this bar and to be drunk and to do all this. I gotta tell you a really funny quick story about Fats. Remember Fats? Remember the guy next to me and talk like this in the movie? Okay, this is a great story. Fats, at one point in his life in the 70s, was unfortunately homeless in downtown LA. They were shooting an episode of Beretta with Robert Blake. What happened was they were finishing the day and the crew looked over and all of a sudden they saw some homeless dude who jumped on the camera truck and tried to run down the street in downtown LA. He was trying to steal one of the cameras. So Fats helped them recover the camera. They got the camera back. I guess he foot chased or whatever. So that's how Fats got his career. The next thing you know, they put him on Beretta. So that's where that guy, Fats, who talked like this, came from. Because he saved the camera on the set of Beretta. Anyway. Hi, how you doing? Yeah, sorry.
I had a lot of favorites. The whole thing was very fun. I liked when there was a missile in my house.
That's how he said the line, too. That was great.
Yeah.
Missile?
So that was great. So much of that movie is true for me. I didn't have a learner's permit, so I didn't drive anything. So, unfortunately. But yeah, I liked the missile scene. I liked the mall scene a lot. And I sure liked kissing Judy. That was nice. The girl who played opposite me. Yeah.
You can imagine, it was like a dream come true. This guy had sports cars and girlfriends for us already when we were on set. It was like, this is amazing, you know? But he was like, he really did create this kind of magical environment on set. He was totally cool. Sir.
Hi. Kind of like Mr. Madison, I was wondering if I can get some clarification as well. Was Vernon Wells supposed to be playing Wes from the Road Warriors? And what was that thing on that guy's face? That metal face guy, where did that come from?
Good question. Well, I can remember that Vernon was cast because John loved the Road Warrior movies, so he was cast to be the exact guy from Road Warrior. The other guy, Metalface, he was a stunt guy. I can't remember the gentleman's name. But he was the guy right there on the bike when he was doing like a donut in the house.
Yeah.
I love when Michael Berryman goes like, I don't want to lose my teaching job.
There is. I know. He's like backing out of the room. Thanks for that. I hope we answered your question.
If anybody has any more questions. Now.
Oh, hey guys.
I was wondering, what did it feel like when the missile was coming out of the floor?
Well, what happens, they rigged it, they built it so it could retract, and they built it right in the middle of one of the stages that we were shooting on. So it did what it did in the film. It really could come through the floor. And I think what we did is we shot it, then they reversed the film. How'd that go? No, you shot it.
You tell that story. You remember.
No, you remember. Take over, please.
I don't remember.
Look, take over.
I don't remember it very well.
Anyway, all I remember is the thing was like on a hydraulic thing or something, and they really did push through the floor, you know?
And we messed up the shot.
That's it. And at the end, when everything goes back to normal, right, they reverse the film and so it gets sucked back through the floor, yeah.
I don't remember this very well, but I heard Russell tell it recently. And apparently, like we had one shot to do this thing, because it was going to break the floor. And so we were all ready and all primed to do it. And it started going, and somebody farted.
It was Rustler, right? Or Downey. They were both well into potty humor at that point.
It was probably Downey.
Yeah.
And so we all cracked up, and we couldn't use that shot. So that we had to do something where it was going in reverse, and we were like, acting the way it was going to look when they played it back.
No, that was it. You're right.
Yeah.
And John was pissed. Who farted? Thanks, Spider-Man.